ورجعنا لكم من جديد ومعنا ضيفتنا لليوم ماريا بلدي سمارت هيومن ليد بجيليفاي ميدل ايست. اهلا وسهلا فيكي معنا اليوم.
اهلا وسهلا فيكم.
اليوم حابين تعطينا هيك بداية نبذة عن شركة جيليفاي ميدل ايست وشو الخدمات اللي انتم بتقدموها.
مرحبا, I'm really happy to be here. So GELLIFY Middle East is a subsidy of GELLIFY Group, which was born in Italy and is now expanding globally. So we have built a business model that was perceived as really successful, where we are actually filling the gaps in the innovation ecosystem from a human technology innovation perspective. And we're actually bringing services to startups, to organizations, and to investors as well. So,
حلو. خبرينا أكثر عن هدول الجابس, please.
So, as you know, today, some organizations that are growing so fast and actually are kind of big in terms of operations are finding it tough to remain agile and to work in this entrepreneurial startup DNA mindset. And what we do and how we have started is we are investing in B2B technology startups, and we're actually bringing their value propositions to corporates, trying to fill these gaps. At the same time, we're really focused, and this is where I bring in my passion at my work, and this is where I'm also supporting the innovation ecosystem on bringing the gaps in the human. So basically, we're driving a bit of we call it a movement to drive the human change journey as we are supporting organizations to be more agile and to digitally transform.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
طيب, what does it take to be a good leader يعني أو a great leader, let's say, لأنه دائما في ناس بتقول manager وبوس وفي قائد اللي هو الليدر.
صح. I think that in this world where nowadays it's not necessarily about how many degrees you have accumulated. Obviously, I'm not against education. I think that this is what got me to where I am today. But in roles and professions that are such higher level executives, everyone is smart in their specific way and as smart as everyone else. But in my opinion, and the opinion of GELLIFY for sure, where our mission is to innovate for a better life, basically how people manage themselves and relationships is what really is giving that edge. So I don't want to speak big words. I just want to be very practical. But I'm sure that everyone who's in a corporate world can think about that leader when they enter the room, how they make them feel, right? So you can perceive the difference between a leader that is carrying himself, his worries, his stress on his shoulders and walking, and someone who's really being of service of the vision and the mission that they're supporting. So in my opinion, it's not really about a set of skills or how they are, it's really how they're managing themselves and how they use their human self as a vessel to fulfill a mission that they're serving.
That's so true, Maria. مرة سمعتها as an example إنه الشعور اللي بيعطيك your boss لما يدخل على الروم, is it like a lion is entering the room? هل بيصير في خوف, في stress, ولا في شعور إنه someone got my back, أو you know is there to help? And that's super important, especially يمكن بالstartups, حتى الcorporates and big companies as well.
Absolutely. I think that everyone has a lot of responsibilities. I mean, especially when we move to nomad working and boundaries between private life and the work are really being a bit mixed together. We can really notice the difference of when a leader is trying to serve as much as possible and really able to put aside all of their responsibilities because everyone is extremely busy and really finding the space to lead. And this is where mindfulness comes in, actually, because in order to be of service to not only the organization, the startup, the mission, the vision that you're trying to serve, but to the people. And obviously organizations, they buy people, they don't buy services. And this is something that we know. So I didn't know how you wanted to enter this theme, but this is where emotional intelligence and mindfulness comes in.
ويعني mindfulness هي يمكن كلمة جديدة نحن متعودين before بمجال العمل إنه you work from this hour to this hour that's it, you're done. But now we're getting introduced to this, which is the importance of mental health, mindfulness at work. which is something new بالنسبة لنا. فخبرينا أكثر، أو إذا you can give us تعطينا هيك وصف وديسكريبشن لبيئة العمل اللي عن جد بيكون فيها المايندفولنس ليفل عالي جدا.
أنا ما بدي أحكي عن mindfulness و emotional intelligence و all of these terms that might have misconceptions in the workplace. لأنه أنا بعرف إنه هول الكلمات بس بوجودهم في ناس إنه they don't receive them in the best way. إنه no, this is only for yogis or people who are going on holidays on the weekend. Now I'm at work and then later I can focus on my emotions. But it's not for no reason that this is coming to the workplace. It's coming from different angles. The first one is really thinking at how things are evolving with technology and understanding that it's not like by 2025, researchers from the World Economic Forum and others are saying that at work, humans and machines, in terms of current tasks, the time spent is going to be equal. And that means that not only companies are expecting for their locations, their value chain, the size of their workforce and all of that to be affected, but also jobs and types of jobs are going to be displaced and created. So they're expecting almost 97 million new roles that will emerge with this new division between what humans, machines, and algorithms are doing. So in line with that, this is all to say that the skills that will be required to succeed in the future are going to evolve, let's say. Some of them will be less predominant and some of them more. And it is known that considering that machines will be supporting us, and I don't see it as a threat, humans need to know how to adapt. And from that other perspective, machines and humans both process information. The only difference is that the human mind can make more connections and computers can do more calculations. And this thing of bringing them both together, so the creative thinking and the problem solving, comes by leveraging all of this data that is coming from machines, but also bringing in the human aspect and making these connections. So in line with that, the skills that will be more useful or more required in the future are related to leadership, social influence, creativity, originality, the ability to use your emotional intelligence for reasoning, problem solving, and communication and negotiation. So when we speak about emotional intelligence, I just only see it about leveraging and processing information that is more human. If we take a step back, an organization is trying to solve a specific problem. We know what the problem is. We bring in the data as inputs, but what we forget is that we are the vessels that will transform, that will create this. So if we ignore the information that is coming from the humans, we're actually ignoring one of the input streams across all of that. So emotional intelligence is just knowing how to manage the humans, how to manage ourselves, how to make your emotions work for you and not against you.
Not against you.
It's really putting the emotions as part of the human advantage and what is supporting teams and leaders to really arrive to their objectives. So this is what emotional intelligence is about. One of the aspects of that is mindfulness, because mindfulness is just taking the time to listen to all of the information that humans are giving us. We tend to believe sometimes that we're superhuman, and then when we're at work, we're only working and we're forgetting that who's actually delivering it. So, and we see life with our lens, right? So we analyze information, but also our person is analyzing them. So if we take things personally, if we're unable to process, like any machine, specific emotions, we're unable to manage a specific workload, a stress, not only from ourselves, but also managing teams, listening to teams, how to support teams, our human self will not support us to arrive to the mission, no matter how capable we are, no matter how, yes. So this is at the basic of the logic, or actually the concept that we work with. but we are not an HR company. We're not a leadership company. GELLIFY is not someone that provides only, let's say, trainings or academies for soft skills or HR concepts, but we want to embed this concept into every of our offerings. So when we understand that, any value proposition, any business value formulation that we put at front takes into account the human side. And really, this is what we all as a team believe in, and this is what is bringing us together. And this is also my passion in my outside my work. So I'm really grateful to have combined all of that, because I have a tech background. I have always worked in digital transformation, passionate about innovation, passionate about how to push forward human dreams and capabilities. But in my life, I'm also passionate about understanding humans, understanding emotions, dissecting how it affects us. And I think everyone that we work with, we will always have a chat about that. But how to bring both together is literally what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, I can see that in your eyes, and it's such a واضح الباشن. That's amazing. بس ما بعرف ليه في misconception around work إنه لما بيجي الواحد على الشغل لازم it's combined with stress. And the more stressed you are, the busier you are, the more productive you are, which is no, why I can't come to work عادي relax. حتى لو I have a lot of things to do, I know how to manage my time, delegate. There are a lot of skills that we need يعني حتى بالنسبة you said something which I think is very very important, not taking things personally. كيف الواحد يتعامل مع مشاعره فعلا بالنسبة للemotional intelligence. كيف حط حياتي الخاصة على جنب، ولما أدخل على الشغل أدخل وأفصل. I disconnect, but at the same time I am the human, not a machine, you know?
No, absolutely. So I'll give you an example. It's funny that in interviews, when you have specific interviews, people tell you, can you tell me about a time you tried to do something and you failed, for example? Or tell me about a time where you received negative feedback from your boss. How did it make you feel? Talk to me about the conflict at work, or tell me, what do you do outside of work? What are your hobbies? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? I mean, these questions are asked not only because they want to know you personally, but in reality, they also want to understand how as a human, you bring yourself to work. How vulnerable are you? How authentic are you in the workplace? And by authentic, it doesn't mean that you have to arrive to a meeting and then share everything that happened back home. But at the same time, this concept of dissociation when you come to the workplace is no longer valid. And in reality, something that is one of the most beautiful and touching things that I've seen in nomad working is that when we were all locked down at home, there was a merge between the personal life and the work life and the corporate life that was we were unable to ما كان فينا نشيلها. So بتفوتي على meeting عندك leader وفي ابنه أو بنته عم يمشوا بيناتكم, and that brought a lot of authenticity, because it reminds you that at the end of the day, you're human like me, like you, and we all have home and life happening at home. So I think that for that purpose, there are a lot of practices that are bringing mindfulness or emotional intelligence in the workplace without naming it as such, but having open conversations where the leader or the boss is speaking with their people to listen to them, not only from a work perspective, but from a human perspective, because we tend as humans to make a lot of assumptions. So now I work in a smaller team. So I used to work in a big corporate. We tried to simulate that and it often worked. But now when you're working with a smaller team, it tends to be easier sometimes to break these boundaries. So asking the right questions is something we can start with. So when we enter a meeting or you start your day, hey, how are you? Doesn't really help to really know how someone is. 100%. But if you really bring in care and bringing this team mindset and asking the right questions with the people you're at, you tend to bring in this human aspect at work. And I also believe that emotional intelligence needs to start from the top as well. So if your leaders don't get these concepts, don't embrace failure, don't embrace their human self, don't embrace the positives and the negatives, and see this and still see this split between their work life and their personal life, it won't support. This is why we say that leaders need to first be the first advocates for mindfulness and emotional intelligence in the workplace, to normalize these things. And at the same time, we can work bottom up with employees and bring it up. So let me tell you just very quickly, in terms of Smart Human, what we bring in terms of offerings, for example, are always tied to innovation and to digital transformations, but also from a human aspect. So we look a lot at engagement and customer experience. When we redesign employee engagement journeys, when we rationalize the touch points, when we work on systems, but also on how people collaborate, we work a lot on these mindsets. And from the values of what we create, we focus on these human aspects. In terms of entrepreneurship and digital academy, we have an offering that it boosts or creates an entrepreneurship mindset inside an organization. These entrepreneurs that are inside organizations are called intrapreneurs. So an intrapreneur is someone who is in an organization but thinks like an entrepreneur, and we have programs to awaken this spirit inside the organization to improve their ability to innovate and ideate and in-source ideas from within. Because at the end of the day, your employees have the best ideas, and not everything that is innovation should come from outside. So how do you create that internally? Similarly to doing open innovation. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with open innovation and all these concepts, but now every organization and company is mandated to innovate. And when you say innovate, is coming up with tech new solutions that are solving problems internally. But not everyone knows how to manage innovation in terms of skills. So you have specific technology that we call them transversal digital skills, which is how to learn how to manage innovation, how to manage startups or an ecosystem. These are skills that are not acquired. I didn't know them when I started my career, right? I'm still learning them. But what I'm trying to say is that we can't take for granted that as organizations are trying to innovate, that it comes very naturally for them to do that. So what we do is we also support the transformation from a human perspective as we implement new innovation labs, a call for ideas, or any kind of open innovation initiative. But last and not least, it's the culture and change management. As we support organizations to digitally transform, whether they have digital transformations or operating model changes, they tend to focus a bit less on investing on the people side. So everything that we bring forward is creating new mindsets and a bit the perception of how to move forward with what's coming. And this is what we call and what we do in terms of our culture and change programs. And everything we do, we leverage all of the ecosystem of GELLIFY. We have almost more than 30,000+ innovators that are part of our ecosystem, and we bring them all and all of their learnings and wisdom in what we do. So it's really a really interesting mix between transformation, digital innovation, but the human at the center.
Element is there.
Yes, absolutely.
وبالنسبة فترة كورونا، هل شفتوا مثلا طلب أكثر على هاي المواضيع وتحديدا موضوع المايندفولنس يعني كان كثير مهم وشيء أساسي لأنه it was a challenging time. وسؤالي كمان إنه موضوع الwork from home هل أثر أيضا؟ في كثير ناس صارت عم بتطالب بموضوع working from home even now and they wanted to stay forever as well. What's your take on that?
First of all, regarding work from home and emotional intelligence, بعتقد إنه أكتر شيء حكيوا فيه recently is about the boundaries between working and resting. We don't perceive rest as a waste of time, even though we have enough work to work for 24 hours every day. But there was a recent study by Gallup, and they're really knowledgeable in these fields, that lately 28% of millennials are saying that they have burnout at work,
Yeah.
which is frequent or constant.
Yeah.
It used to be much less before, and probably work from home did not help a lot. The absence of human touch and human connection did have a high impact on working as a team. This is why we were called in to support a bit better on how to create, how to maintain a community, how to maintain working together while still working remotely. So how did we need to translate all of the serendipitous moment of having a coffee with someone in front of the coffee machine,
yes,
into getting this comfort of human connection while working remotely? I still believe that there's no solution that is quite fixed on that. I also believe that not every company and all business models require working from an office. There's a lot of work being done on that. I think that remote working and this pandemic that we went through raised a lot of accelerated this question that was already being built. I don't think that this is a topic that is new, but all the companies are kind of redefining now their flexibility in their working models and how they want to move forward. In terms of our work, we work remotely a lot with Italy. Here, we work in Dubai in our offices, and this allows us a lot to create the culture. We have a bit of a, for example, now it's the summer and we have accepted to do 2 months of remote working to also test the model between us. But this required a lot of pre-work, sitting, agreeing on the values that we're sharing for this time. How are we planning to work around it? How are we recreating these bonding moments or this communication when we're going offline or not? So it's not given that it's easy to shift. I think that every organization is mandated to do that work to assess what will work best for its people. The only advice I have is to listen to your people and listen what they actually require.
Actively listen.
Active listening, which is one of the key skills that will be required in the next future. It's not as easy to do active listening. If you've been to an active listening workshop, you would understand, especially for millennials. I think you're a millennial yourself like me. Our attention span, we can be quite easily distracted. Active listening is hard. Active listening is hard. We really need to put the effort to active listening.
Literally, I'm putting a conscious effort to do it. It's sometimes on my to-do list in the morning. Today I'm gonna actively listen لكل شخص بيحكي معي.
Today I will monotask. Try to do that for 24 hours.
Oh my God, no.
And see how tough it will be. I have to say, I'm really good at multitasking, but I still believe that it's not in my advantage to do that. And if I were to monotask, I would achieve more. I mean, sometimes, but also as a Lebanese myself, we're quite, we believe that we're strong in everything and we can easily multitask.
طب حكينا كثير عن إيجابيات المايندفولنس. هل في dark side للمايندفولنس؟
Yes, I mean, I'm someone who's an advocate for mindfulness. In my private time, I spend a lot in trying to disconnect, trying to be present, trying to connect to nature, to anything else. And we work hard, right? We are connected. We are required to be connected all the time. It's not easy. As a leader, I have friends who have started their ventures during the pandemic. They are connected all the time. So السلبيات from my end. So first of all, it can negatively impact the workplace from a communication and a decision making. So from a decision making, because if we put too much attention into, let's say, emotional intelligence or mindfulness, it might come to the detriment of some relationships, some communication skills we might have, or setting strong boundaries. My take on that is that if a team or a startup or an organization is passionate and truly believes in the mission and the vision that they're trying to fulfill, it won't really feel like a massive effort to be in the workplace, and then emotional intelligence and mindfulness will be part of the story. So أهم شيء برأيي إنه always coming, I mean, this always coming back to the why in what you're doing. If your full human self is convinced on what you're trying to achieve, I think that emotional intelligence will come in your favor and not against you. But yeah, I don't see, everything has a dark side and a light side. There's shadow and light everywhere you put light on. Don't expect light as a solution for everything. For sure, there are some negative impacts on social skills. I can say I can say I need some time to relax now because I've been working so hard, for example. But if I tie it back to the vision that I'm trying to do, we can definitely like source more energy and more work to achieve what we're doing. What's your take on everything I'm saying? I was curious to hear.
أنا شخصياً يعني مؤمنة جداً بهذا الموضوع سواء كان على الصعيد الشخصي personal life أو حتى بالwork place. Being present, it's something I'm putting an effort to master لأنه نحن متعودين إنه شخص عم بيحكي معنا ومخنا بمكان تاني. Even the simple tasks that we do on a daily basis. الواحد لما بفرش أسنانه هل بيكون عن جد مركز كيف عم بفرش أسنانه؟ No. في 1000 فكرة براسنا. فموضوع being present, mastering, actively listening, كل هاي الشغلات I think we need to work on it really. بس in the workplace أنا I think كتير عم بيكون مهم هذا الموضوع. مهم الكونكشن، مهم إنه الواحد لما يفوت على عند الموظفين وحتى زملائه مو good morning ويفوت يقعد، عن جد يتواصل مع الشخص اللي أمامه، يعرف إنه is he doing good today, not compliment if they are. يعني ما تتركوا حتى الكومبلمنت لنفسكم. حدا لابس شيء حلو اليوم say طالع حلو اليوم وإلى آخره. كتير بتغير من نفسية الناس بالشركة حتى لو كان في ضغط شغل كتير.
If I can leave with a last thought or a last advice, next time you enter a meeting or next time you enter a room where you're going to sit with people and discuss a topic, if you just sit and take 10 seconds to say, okay, I'm entering this meeting with this purpose. I have humans that are here. How am I feeling? Okay, I'm feeling a bit stressed. Let me just disconnect on that so that I don't project it to all of the room I'm sitting with. Let me just focus on the objective of what I'm trying to do and the connection and whatever we're going to co-create as a team together. Take a deep breath and say hi to everyone with like presence and see how it creates a difference. If you were to do that in every connection you are to have, I believe the world can be a better place.
Better place, 100%. I'm going to start with myself.
Or sharing vulnerability and saying, today I feel stressed, but we need to get work done. So let's just work together. I might need your support today. This is why we're pushing, because remembering why we're trying to do that, and things might be better. Really nice.
I think we should really normalize that, to be honest. عن جد إنه ما أحط ماسك أمامي إنه no, I'm good, I'm strong and everything's fine and I can push it today. لا بالعكس, the human element is very important. Thank you so much, Maria. عن جد really enjoyed our conversation. كانت معنا ماريا بلدي, Smart Human Lead من GELLIFY Middle East. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. أنا بشوفكم بكرة بنفس الموعد. نهاركم سعيد جميعا.